Hello from Singapore here at TechLaw.Fest 2018. I'm Andrew Arruda.
And I'm Ashton Addison.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. Thanks so much, Ashton, for joining us on the Road. It's a pleasure to be here in Singapore. And today we're going to be talking about smart contracts. But before we do, can you quickly tell us about yourself? What do you do for work and what keeps you busy?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. My name is Ashton Addison. I'm the CEO and founder of event chain Smart Tickets, as well as the host of the Crypto Coin Show on YouTube. And we are introducing smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain to solve the issues in the ticketing industry.
That's pretty exciting. I think everyone always has a horror story of some ticket gone awry, and especially as the popularity of things like, second or third markets for tickets. Before we jump into a question specifically about smart contracts and ticketing, I'm going to ask you a question for all the listeners who may not be as advanced as, folks in this space. What is exactly a smart contract?
That's a great question. Well, I think to break it down to layman's terms, a smart contract is essentially a contract or an agreement that has, like a regular contract, that has an offer, an acceptance, and consideration. However, the key is that it is executed onto a blockchain or a decentralized network.
So if you follow that logic through, I guess, with a smart contract, there could be something that occurs and things automatically happen. That's generally what folks like to think about and talk about. You gave a fantastic example during your talk about farmers. Can you share that just for the folks who weren't able to be in attendance here?
Definitely. So in the insurance industry, say, for example, a farmer wanted to take an insurance claim out where he would receive a payout if it did not rain for 3 or 6 months. And the contract could then deal with something called an oracle, which feeds real-world data into computer programming. And then if it did not rain, the contract would automatically find that data and then pay the farmer automatically, and he wouldn't even have to go to the insurance bureau.
That sounds particularly exciting. I also think what's really exciting about this type of technology is that there's certainly going to be a lot of work for lawyers in this space as regulation kind of catches up where things are going. On that note, Ashton, you mentioned some of the challenges that this technology is facing right now as it continues to move towards, becoming ubiquitous. What are some of the challenges you see, and where do you think this technology is going?
I think there's 2 major challenges that need to be overcome for the mainstream adoption of smart contracts. The first one is that there's huge technological barriers. Specifically with Ethereum smart contracts, you need to understand a programming language called Solidity. And it was created specifically for Ethereum, and very little programmers even understand this programming language, and never mind lawyers. So that is going to have to change. We're going to have a more non-technical entry to creating smart contracts for mainstream adoption. The second factor, I would say, is the scalability of the underlying blockchain networks that are executing these contracts. Currently, the Ethereum blockchain can only handle 30 transactions per second. And if we were to send some funds to an Ethereum smart contract and the network was backlogged or had a large queue, it could take hours or days for the money to be received into the contract. And currently, that is just not acceptable in business.
That makes a lot of sense. And in terms of where you see this going with, particularly in your space with tickets, what would you say for folks listening in, what they can come to expect in the future with some of the smart contracts and what you guys are up to in the ticketing space?
I think that smart contracts will revolutionize industries which are low value and high cost. And I believe right now that, especially with the state that Ticketmaster is in, the ticketing industry is very low value. So I anticipate smart contracts, being an event where each ticket has a unique identifier and people can pay for a ticket. And not only will the contract be immutable in a sense that it is very hard to create counterfeit tickets, but also if you're paying in cryptocurrency, you'll get rid of those pesky transaction fees, which are very high in the ticketing industry right now.
That's certainly true. Every time I always have to wonder when I see that fee on paying for different events, where is that really going? I do have one last question for you before we wrap things up. For listeners who would like to follow up, how can they reach you?
Great question. I think that The best place to find more information would be on our YouTube channel. You can either search Ashton Addison on YouTube or the Crypto Coin Show. And if you want to get a hold of me personally, you can always email me at ashton@eventchain.io.
Thank you so much, Ashton. We've reached the end of the road for today's episode. And I want to thank Ashton for joining us today. And we would like to also thank, and most importantly, the listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please rate us in the Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network. Thanks, Ashton.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS, find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.